So, first thing that I want to kind of go over is just kind of more of the networking processes. So some of you guys, so kind of give you a little bit of background. So we were using the Elation Pixel bars for the longest time, and then they went discontinued, and the driver started dying every time I touched it, and then we were just like, we need a new driver. So we went to the Chave Pixel bars, which are amazing. But because of that, costs and stuff like that, we're slowly going through campuses and kind of making updates and things like that. And we also have a lot of it, so we're just kind of taking our time through the process. So we have assigned seats to you guys based off the drivers that you will be either using eventually or you're currently using now, so you guys can have an idea. And so just because there's more Elation Pixel bars than Chaves, we'll start with you guys. And then we'll go to the Chaves so you guys can kind of get an idea of how all that stuff is connected and working and everything. So everybody has, so each table has Pixel bar, and you also have a network cable. If it is connected to your computer, please disconnect it. You went too far advanced, and that may lose brownie points. So each person on your table, in the center of the table, you have an IP address. That is your driver's IP address. And then at your table in front of you, you should have another IP address. That is your personal IP address. So you guys can probably see my screen. I am currently connected to a driver down below me. So what you're going to do is go into your settings and go to network. When you go to network, you'll see a driver. You'll see connected and then the Wi-Fi connection, all that stuff. Most likely, it's probably using DHCP. That ain't going to do nothing. Let's try to see. It ain't going to agree. So your driver will probably, if you guys see it, if mine's just not working properly. Give me 1 second so I can pull up my IP. So that where that IP is, there we go. You will your network adapter, make sure it is set to manually, and then you want to set the IP that is sitting in front of you. If you set the IP that is to the center of the desk, it will not work properly. So most likely what you'll probably want to do is whichever adapter that you're going to use for your Pixel bars, just disconnect it. You will see it leave, and then connect it back. You'll see it come back. That's kind of like the best way of knowing what adapter you're connected to. I wish there was a way that you can actually name the adapter, so you can then name it Pixel bars and things like that. So when you connect it, it just automatically knows. But Apple hasn't gotten that far into designing that stuff yet. So I'm going to set mine to 2.0.15.13. And as long as it's not the IP of the center, it doesn't matter really what IP. The reason why you have to set separately is just so you don't create a conflict between the two. It just needs, it's basically kind of like saying you can't have the same house address. There has to be two separate types of addresses so you know exactly the ones you're talking to. Once that is set, you'll set your subnet to 255.255.0.0. Yes. So on your computers, you should have your adapter that you would normally use. It should have an Ethernet adapter onto it. Make sure it's connected. If you don't know which one it is, just disconnect it, connect it back. That will be your adapter on the network. Once you connect it, you can go ahead and connect the network cable. There is only one network cable per table, so you don't really kind of need it right now. You just need to know what adapter you're talking to so you can set it up, kind of thing. Once everybody has at least an idea of what adapter you're connected to, you go to network, settings, network, and then you should see your adapter somewhere in here. Once you do that, everybody just give me a thumbs up on when you have that set up. Cool. This is the fun part with networking and all this stuff. It can get confusing very fast, so I can always just slow down. You just tell me what you... It does not matter on network. So the network cables are actually connected to the drivers down below your tables. So you don't network, it does not matter. And really, technically, you don't need to be connected to the network right now. If you don't have it, I just need to go ahead and set the adapter to its IP. So once everybody has that, just one last time, everybody thumbs up, just so I can confirm. Cool. Once your IP is set, again, don't copy my IP. It will be whatever the IP is set in front of you. Set it to that, and then set your subnet to 255.255.0.0. 0.0 is important. If you put 255.255.255.0, it will not work. That's just a little note to keep in mind. So once that is set up, you can open up your Resolume Arena. You can go over to where it says Arena, go to Preferences, go to General, and down at the very bottom you'll see Pioneer DJ Network Interface. When you click that, you'll have local hosts, you'll have your Wi-Fi, and then you'll have a network adapter, and it should show your IP address. Once you have that, just click the network adapter. Yep, so you go to Resolume, go to Arena at the top left corner. You'll go to Preferences. This will open up. Make sure you go to General. And then at the very bottom, you'll see Pioneer DJ Network Interface. And then you'll click that. And then you just go to USB. And it should say 10, 100, 1000 LAN in its IP address that you set. Yes, you can go ahead and do it. If you guys don't have the network cable, just wait a second. Once we get this group of people done, we'll go ahead and swap you over. Yeah, so that will probably be that adapter. You can disconnect the adapter if you see it go away in your network settings, and I'll go back to it. Over in your settings, network. If you disconnect it, which I could disconnect mine, but you won't be able to. You won't see it on the screen. You'll disconnect it. This will turn red, and it will just disappear. When you connect it back, it will appear at the very top and in green. That is your network adapter you're talking to. Again, I wish you could technically label these. It makes more sense, but we're working with Apple here. Cool. So once, I'll just repeat back again. So you go to top of go to Arena, go to top where it says Arena, hit Preferences. You come down to Pioneer DJ Network, you'll set the USB. Once that is set, you go to DMX, and at the very bottom, you'll see Network Adapter. You'll come down there, and you will make sure that is also selected. So the reason why you're doing that is you're basically telling, so the way the communication process is your computer is sending it to your driver. Your driver is like a MIDI controller, or it's like a lighting console, and it's communicating network into DMX and telling your lights what to do. And so you're just kind of basically assigning like, hey, this is my DJ network or MIDI controller type thing, because Resolume is basically a MIDI controller for that. And in DMX is you're just saying, hey, this is the DMX I'm talking to out the network. So once everybody's got that, just give me a thumbs up. Make sure everybody's good, happy, nice, clean. Yes. Okay. So see blinky lights on your network adapter. If you, yeah, you got that. Yeah, so you got blinky lights, so you're connected there. And before I proceed, I'll make sure everybody is nice and good. And if you actually already done that process, if you want to hand the network cable to your partner, just so they can go ahead and set that up, you can go ahead and talk about that. Because once that's set up, it will just remember itself. That's a wonderful thing about network adapters is it's technically a computer, if you didn't know. So it actually remembers when you connect it back. Just so your partner can go ahead and get communication between the two. Yeah, see if there's another one. I know, so one thing to you guys kind of note by, so Resolume does not like certain adapters and loves certain adapters. I have seen so far, and I will be able to probably just confirm in the production director's Slack channel. The Anchor adapters work the best. Uni adapters have had issues, and then just the single one-off network adapters that you buy on Amazon just doesn't work, period. So if you have an Anchor adapter that has a network, most likely it will work the best. Preferably the ones that look very long like this is the ones that I've had the best luck with, and the least amount of issues with. So I'll be able to confirm full of that once I ask Joe, because he's dealt with these a little bit more. But I'll be able to put the actual adapter that works the best for this in there for you. So when you go into here, DMX, you would just see under network adapter USB. Yeah, as long as you see that, you're good. And as long in general, you should, in general, down to Pioneer DJ network interface, you should see USB, and then they'll have the IP address at the very end. Cool. So if you guys, probably, just kind of give you guys a heads up. Resolume has an update. If it is on 7.10 like he is dealing with, it does not show the Pioneer DJ network interface. Hopefully that will fix that. Cool. So we'll go ahead and progress forward with that. So once you actually have those connected, this is where we can actually start getting connectivity. So if you go at the very top, you'll see output. Go down to advanced. You'll see this fun little thing that I have going on. My computer does not like any of the SSDs. So currently I'm just having something run for myself. So at the default, you're always going to have some kind of screen output. That is going to be your main screen, which you will have center screen, your outputs will go to behind lyrics, all that stuff. Which, if that is already set, what I always like to do is label it. So if you can go ahead and just label it screen or whatever. So you guys can go ahead and have a visual of that. Once you see that, when you're actually at your campus, I won't try it now because it will just do it on your computer. But display 2 will be your out screen. So you always just want to make sure your devices is set to that. And that will actually send that screen to your second display, which would be on your switcher and stuff like that. Can't test it right now, but it's a good way to just, at the end of the day, sometime this week, just check it out. So once that is set, to kind of give you an example of a slice. So a slice is basically a set of an image. So I can actually come in here, shrink this down, just give you guys an example. And I can actually add a second slice. So I have a slice 2 right here, showing the same image, but I can take the slice and actually show something different. Actually, sorry, I can have it show. Oh, I see. So you can actually have it show 2 separate images. It's not working properly for me right now, but that's kind of a cool way of showing different slices. For your main screens on a Sunday morning and a normal experience, you will just deal with slice 1 and make sure it just fits the whole screen. That just outputs out to that direction for that. That's how you set up a screen for your center screen. So if you don't have pixel bars, Durham, you're the only location that currently right now has that. That's how that works. Pixel bars. So to kind of give you guys a little bit of explanation of the output, the advanced output. So at the very top, you have input selection, and then you have output transition or transformation. This is basically what is sending out to your screens. So I'm going to size that out for myself. And I'll set this as a composition, so reset back. So output transformation, that is what is currently sending it out to the image. So whatever your main screen is, once you get pixel bars, you'll see that as well. So if for some reason, if your screen is outputting and it is doing that right there, probably go to output transitions and just set it back to reinvert itself. I've never actually seen that ticket come through, but if you ever have the experience, you know what that is. At the very top, you can actually deal with the size of the image that you're kind of seeing. You see a 10 foot or a 10% gets small. You can also use 2 fingers to drag it in and out. There's an undo button, a redo button. You can have this little hand to move around, and then also the magnet. Always keep that on just because it always takes the image and it just automatically clips it to the top once it has its center lines and all that stuff. And you can also do like a show grid or something like that. This does not actually output to your screen. It just allows you to kind of see a little grid. So if you want to be very particular, you're more than welcome to. And then everything over here, normally you're never going to mess with this side of the screen except for the input source. You'll probably mess with that. But any of this, when it comes to your screen, you will never really touch. Also, if you kind of probably see, there is Pac-Man's under here. Always make sure the Pac-Man is eating to the left. If it is, basically all this is just flips the image into those different directions, the way that the Pac-Man would eat it. And so always make sure it is set to where it's eating going from right or left to right on everything. That just kind of helps your flow with making sure that everything is pretty evenly clean. Past that, you wouldn't really touch anything through there. Everything over here, you have this little plus button. This is where things can get fun. So you have screens, you have slices. Of course, you can add another slice. Polygons, you can actually draw out your image if you want to. Normally, you would never do this, but just for fun, you can do this, and then your image will actually be that right there. So you can kind of see right here, it's kind of doing this weird geometric thing. Same thing with output mask. It does the same thing. It just kind of boxes itself in. DMX Lumiverse. This is where we're going to start getting pixel bars. So everybody, if you're not already on the advanced output, go to there, go to the plus button, and hit DMX Lumiverse. And then make sure you're also on the input selection at the top. You're going to get a little fancy little bar right here that has little pixels on it. Once you have this set, go ahead and just label this pixel 1. I kind of like to label these because normally on a campus you're probably going to have at least 4 fixtures. For the Chavez, you actually have 4 fixtures per section. For the Chavez, you actually have 6 fixtures per driver. So output, advanced output. You'll have your advanced output here. You have your screens, or screen 1. Screen 1, again, is your main outputs. That'll be just for your center screen. This is what's going to your switcher that will have Reso on it. That will be going out to behind lyrics and things like that. Your slice is basically the slice of the image. So you always want to make sure this is hitting all 4 corners of that. Because if it's cropped down like this, if you got your output, you actually see it's cropped down. Actually, it's cropped down just because I didn't set it right. The output transformation, if it is for some reason also like this, like it just was, set it back to here. And then here, just set this back up to here. That just allows it to play the full image on that screen in that layer on that slice. So you don't have any funky weirdness happening on your center screen. Yes. So where slice 1 is, you always want to go to input source. This is where you go out to Reso 1. So anything in out Reso 1 on that layer, like Jared was talking about, will go to your screens on that layer. Nothing else will go to it besides that layer on that function. Make sense? So I won't go over too much of this again, but hit the plus button. Go to DMX Lumiverse. This is where, so a Lumiverse is basically a universe, but network digital is kind of the best way to say it. It's a universe that it just outputs, and then the driver does the rest of the work for it. So make sure, go to plus button, DMX Universe, so everybody have that. Okay, cool. Real quick, has everybody connected? Make sure that's all right. Everybody's connected. Everybody has try setting up all that. Okay, cool. I just want to make sure I didn't miss anybody because I felt like I had missed somebody. So once that is set, over where it says target on the left side of the screen, you see target IP. If you drop down, so I'm going to go ahead and say this for the elations, you should see this right here. Chavez or pixel bars, you will not see this, and I'll explain here in a second. Does everybody see that? That has the first 3 rows this way. Does everybody see the target IP? This is a great way of knowing if you're connected to your device. If it is not, most likely is in the settings or somewhere is not configured correctly. Everybody that has a pixel bar, that's not a Epic strip, has it talking, configured, and all that stuff. Thumbs up. Oh, you have that one. Oh, yes. You're going to, and I'll explain why. This is where it's going to get weird configurations. We're just going to start setting up from here, personal sets. So if you will look down here, you will see Universe. On your tables, you should have, if Patrick did put on there, you should have in the center a Universe set. Do you see that? Make sure your Universe is set to that number. Cool. While they're still setting up, I'm going to go ahead and Chavez or Epics, I'll go ahead and get you guys set up, and then I'll come help you, Josh. So Chavez, you're going to be a little bit different. Normally, you will see a drop-down menu. For some reason, the drivers we have in here are not doing that. So what you're going to do, where it says target IP, go to the IP address, and you will manually type in the IP that is in the center of the table. If you have already done that, cool. And then you will also set the universe number as well. This is the fun part about having 4 drivers control 14 people, and we're makeshifting how things work. Cool. So now that everybody is connected and is talking and all that stuff, we actually go through and actually customize, and you can kind of see what you're doing, kind of thing. And I would like for everybody to just kind of follow along, because even Chavez, you'll be a little bit different. Y'all just have 10 more pixels than the Elations, but so one of the things that Jared was actually having is an address. So if you notice where it says Lumiverse, I'm going to label mine so everybody can match mine. Down at the below, you'll have the actual pixel fixture. You'll see like 1 dash, and it'll have another number and then pixel bars. That is actually each pixel bar in your set. Does that make sense? At the over where towards this side of the screen for you guys, you'll see where it has fixtures. You'll have pixel bars. You'll have starting address. His was this right here, which did that. Make sure yours is always set to just 0, which will automatically set it to 1 for each individual. Or set it to the fixture of that. If you start adding more fixtures, you will actually notice right here it's auto-addressing itself to the next fixture. Does that make sense? Cool. I'll start talking like this because easy to understand. And as I add each fixture, it will just auto-populate its address. The Elations, pixel bars, it will only hold 4 per output. So you can have a total of 16 per driver. A lot of math, understandable. The pixel, yes. So make sure, this is always a big thing for campuses I've seen an issue with. When you are done with this, hit save and close. If you X out of this, it will not save what you did, and you will lose what you did. I've had campuses be like, why is this not working? You didn't save and close. So if you go up to the very top, you'll see Arena. You have Preferences, and right below that, you have Fixture Editor. Click that for me. Then you'll have fixtures. It will always default to 1, and it'll always have a default of whatever fixture it has currently in front of you. If you have the Elations, your width should be 40. If you have pixel bars, or the epic strips, yours should be set to 50. So Franklin, Eric, Daniel, all y'all just set yours to 50. Everybody else, 40. So Arena at the very top, you have Preferences, then Fixture Editor. You'll select that, and it'll open up this nice and pretty window. Width will be 40. Height is basically, if I do this, it just adds more layers. That's if you were to add, like, if a pixel bar had 2 more rows, you could technically do it, but you only have 1 row of 40 for you. Once everybody has that, go ahead and just label your fixture based off of what it is. So for Josh, Chris, all the first 4 tables in front of me, and then Mac, Angel, y'all will just set yours to pixel bars. Everybody else, you will just set yours to epic strips. It's just kind of a nice way of knowing what fixtures you have, and also knowing so that if you guys run different fixtures or whatever, you know how many the width you're set to. So I'm just going to label mine pixels. Once you have that, you can just close it out. Once everybody has that, just give me a thumbs up. Cool, that's fast. Now, go back to Output, go back to Advance, go back to Lumiverse, where it has the fixture. You will notice it has been renamed, and it also has changed its address, most likely for Eric, Franklin, Daniel, and Camilo. Everybody else probably should just stay the same. Does that make sense? Okay, that is correct, because you are on Epic, so it has 50 more pixels. So 50 times 3 is 30. So yeah, that's why you have 150. Yes. So to fix that, if you select that fixture, Lumiverse fixture. Over on the right side of the screen, you'll see fixture. Underneath that, you'll see something right here. It will be right here. Um, there is a fixture called dummy fixture. That's just something Resolume has. If you click it, it's just one whole picture. It's just one pixel. It's like just a way to test it. So the best practice, just to keep consistency, is when you're in a fixture editor and you're on the pixel, just make sure your width is 40, your height is 1. And you should see right here, it should just look like this, where it's just one long bar horizontally, not vertical. That's just good practice to have. Because once you set the fixture, you can add as many of those as you want. And it will just duplicate this. So if I come to output and go back to advance, and then hit Lumiverse or the Pixel 1, hit the plus button and hit DMX, it will just automatically add that fixture for me. And it will just automatically add it horizontally. So let me kind of go over that real fast. So with what Jared was talking about earlier with the different layers and stuff, you would technically need to go to each fixture and make sure its input source is set to out reso 2. That's how you would get your pixel bars. I haven't kind of gone over that because I just want whatever the composition is showing. I kind of messed you up, Josh. I'm sorry. Just so you have something you can see. But at the end of it, I was going to go over. But basically, each fixture you have, the best practice is just do one. Go to input source, click it, out reso 2. And then when you come down to add DMX fixture, you would just do that again. And then again to each fixture. Reason why is so when you're, let me save and close. When you are over here in out reso 2, any content that's in here goes to the pixel bars and pixel bars only. Does that make sense? So for the moment, just so everybody has something, unless you already have something on out reso 2, just set out reso 2. But if you don't, just keep it as composition, so whatever's at the very top is being played. Or out reso 1, whatever can show content. Or you can even just slide an image up there. Whatever's your taste and flavor of milkshake. Yes, so it should look just like this, where the width is, sorry, I might have said it wrong. The width should be 50 for you guys. Height is 1. Oh, so if you flip it, you're saying... That is interesting. I'm learning something new every day. So if you feel better, you could probably just go down here at the very bottom where it has a plus and a minus button. Yeah, and just remake a new one and delete this other one. Yeah, that would probably be your best option. Test that. So if you want to do that, Josh, just go at the very bottom down in the fixture editor. You'll see a plus and minus button. Hit the plus button. And then just set your width to 40, and then delete this guy. Delete him, you can just hit the minus button, and it'll delete him. Now, once all this is set, I make note of this, you would not really have to do this ever again. When it comes to set changes and stuff, you're more moving things around, but it should just stay the same. This is just building from scratch, as if you've never done this. You've lost every file, ProDrive is gone, compositions are lost, and you need something. This is how to build it. And I'll go over at the very end. There actually is an entire fresh service document on how to set this stuff up. So you can do a step-by-step process on fresh service on how to do all of this. So don't feel like you have to learn right now and remember it. We've got documentation for that too. Cool. So if everybody feels good, I'll go ahead and continue on how to edit the fixture. Actually, I'm gonna wait till Josh is good so he can know. Yeah, this is the rough part, but we're all learning together. This is something that normally we would end up doing, or actually normally this is tech team setting this stuff up. So you guys getting to learn this and know this is great learning experience, and understanding how to do this. If you have to, you can do this kind of thing. So then we're going to learn how to customize and move things around and all that fun stuff and make basically your stage. So go to Output, go back to Advanced Window. We're going to be hanging out here for a while. Go back to your Pixel 1 outputs. You can select your first fixture. You will notice that there are 2 circles on the left, 2 circles on the right. There's like a square in the middle. Square in the middle just basically stretches it out. Let me delete this guy. Stretches it out. It makes it very tiny, all that stuff. A good rule of thumb is just try to make it as a square, or just make it small, just so it's, when you do this, it's grabbing the most, in that pixel, it's grabbing the most color in that pixel to output. So the smaller, the more detail it will look, kind of thing. It's kind of like lower resolution, the crappier it looks. Higher resolution, the better it looks. Same way, smaller pixels, better resolution of it. To rotate it, if you will look very closely, and I'll try to zoom in, and you might be able to see it. Yes. You'll see a 1-120 pixel. That's the label of the pixel. Wherever the 1 is, from left to right of that, is how the pixel starts. So if you notice on my bar down here, at the bottom is where it starts. It's red, and it goes to green, then blue, then magenta. It starts from right to left to right based off the number. That goes back to where it says flip right here in the Pac-Man. Just leave it to where it's going left to right. Does that make sense? Cool. Where the circles are, if you go over, you should see your mouse turn into a little circle. It'll be counterclockwise. You can actually take it and rotate it. And you can see on this pixel here, as I rotate this around, it will just rotate that pixel with pixel bar. Is everybody doing that? Cool. If you zoom in on the corner, grab this little hand at the very top. I'll drag it over. Deselect the hand. You can actually go in where it has a little square in the circle. You can actually move the pixel in. Grab the hand again. Come back over here. Deselect the hand. Shrink it in more. By shrinking it in, you're just making it smaller to fit in the screen better. Yes, you can just do spacebar too. I'm a complicated person where I just like hitting buttons all the time. Yeah, so there isn't really a standard on height because of the pixels, because of your stage design, all that stuff. So get it to where it feels good to you. To me, right about here is pretty good, because then I can rotate it like this. So it actually, because where the number direction is this way, the pixel down here is the first, this is the top of the fixture. It kind of allows me to know that, okay, bottom, top. So I can set the fixture like this. And then now my fixture is actually vertical, how it is right here. Make sense? Cool. If you want an easier way of doing that, I just want to show you the complicated way so you knew that. On the right side of the screen, you'll see X, Y, left, top, width, height, rotation. You can also mess with this, and this will mess with it. So rotation, I can hit 0, and it'll rotate itself back out. -90, we'll put it vertical like this. And if you ever want to know what the information of this, the actual physical pixel bar, the input is the start of the fixture. The output's the end of the fixture. So for this, at the very bottom is the input. This is the output. Make sense? And this is just all customization, play arounds. Because this is free, it would not hurt for you to go home and just play around with this. It takes some time to understand how to map this stuff out, and just kind of play around with how to affect the actual pixel bar itself. But you can also go back to the plus button, hit DMX fixture. You can add another one and do the same thing. Shrink it in. Rotate it to where the numbers are aiming down. Or just type it in. And I can lay this right on top. And because I have the magnet selected, I can just let it sit right on top of that. Now I have two fixtures on top of each other. So now it looks like one seamless bar. Make sense? Any questions? Feel free to ask any questions. Cool. So, to kind of give you guys a little rundown, I want to show you, I'll be very slow, but I'll show you what it kind of would look like on your normal setup process. So for each fixture, in each Lumiverse. You would have 4. You could set it up like this. You can set the width to 600. Actually, I'm going to set the width to 200. Let's go up a little higher. I move this here. Actually, that's the 4th one. So move this up. So one thing to know, wherever it's highlighted right here, the light blue is what you're selected. So if I come grab this guy here, now I'm messing with this vertical bar here. So just kind of let you know what fixture you're messing with. Because having 48 pixel bars, which a normal permanent location has, can get very confusing fast on what you're actually messing with. So shrink this guy in. And again, this would be something you could play at home in your free time, building it out. And you can do some cool stuff with this. And learning how to map all this stuff out. It's not the prettiest, but that's one universe worth. Does it make sense? Any questions with this? So to add another universe or Lumiverse, just again, DMX Lumiverse, it will add a fixture. You would label this Pixel 2. And then just do another 4, same thing, DMX Lumiverse, Pixel Bar 3, another 4. So for the ones that have the elations, you actually have 4 outputs. So you would just do this. You would do what I just did with these guys 3 more times. And each output would be that. There is no standard for it. That is something that I probably will eventually create, just having a standard of, like, hey, this is the height of the pixels. But in all reality, I just say, like, make sure that they're all the same height. And they can, best way you should do is at least stack 3 pixel bars from top to bottom of the screen. How I set it up. When I go to a campus and set it up, I make sure 3 can stack between top to bottom evenly across. And then that's kind of my height with it. But there is no standard for it right now. So you're trying to figure out like which pixel bar is which. So you can actually go in and select the pixel bar. So if you're looking at your stage and you're like, hey, I'm noticing this one right here is acting up. I can see it's this guy right here by selecting it. Or even this guy right here, I can see, hey, it's this guy here. And I can see it right here, the address, and I can see that. And you can... Yeah, so a good way of noticing that is if you see this right there and you go, okay, they're stacked on top of each other. Grab one of them, kind of separate the two, and kind of do that. It's really hard to know if they're stacked on top of each other, especially if they're the same height, same width, everything, because they just fit in well. The best way to know is just go through each pixel bar until you notice that there are 2 that looks like in the exact same spot, or it looks like there's not one there. It's probably because they're stacked. Yes. This little square right here, you can actually go right here, and it will toggle them on or off. You can actually even toggle the whole Lumiverse and mess with it that way. That could be also another way, because if it's off like that, it turns the pixel bar off. So if you're like, why is it not outputting? Make sure those squares. There's a lot of little things like this where you just kind of have to go through and look. But the best way of saying it is if it does not look like your set, if I can look at this and it doesn't look like my set design, that's when I can start looking and say, okay, is it duplicated? Is this square like selected or is it deselected? And just making sure that I even put it in, kind of thing. So if it's built out here and it's still not outputting, make sure your input source is on the right source as well. Just make sure it's on outreso too. Make sense? Any questions with this? That was the big little troubleshooting process and learning process. And so, cool. So that's literally how you set up Lumiverses and stuff with fixtures. Nothing too crazy with that. Again, this is all on Fresh Service on how to do this. So don't feel like that. You have to soak it all in right now. It is reachable there as well. And play around with that at home. Build out your set design. If you have a future set design, build it out here. And kind of stuff. Last thing, save and close, please. Put it on a sticky note on the computer. Let me see what else we can talk through. Um, yes, that is a great question. So, we've had before. Um, when you're importing compositions onto your weekend composition file, wherever the pixel content is, leave it. Don't add anything to it. You can add effects and stuff like that, but don't try to add other video contents on top of it if it's not meant to be there. For example, if we're playing an Easter video or an Easter promo, don't add it to the pixel layer content. Just leave it how it is, black or whatever. Same thing with doors. If there's no content right there, just leave it. Don't add anything to it. Just kind of have it to where it's because the reason why the pixel bars exist is just an extension of the center screen to fill in the negative spaces on the stage. It's not meant to be as a fourth screen. It's just there to help illuminate the stage a little bit better in that area. Does that make sense? Another thing to keep note with is we are now considering Resolume under lighting, which is great. So what that means is you or the lighting programmer just needs to work together or have the lighting programmer set up importing the content for the pixel bars and making sure the colors match the lighting. It doesn't mean that we're moving Resolume to front of house. This just means that they are now talking to each other, the volunteers and stuff. And so when it comes to making sure colors are correct, making sure all that stuff, if you're the one that's setting up Resolume every week, just make sure you're correlating that to your lighting guy if you're not. Or at least ask them, like, hey, what colors do you want to use so I can import it, or have them do it. If you already have like a lighting programmer that does it every week, just add it to their, just ask them, like, hey, could you also just set up Resolume? Take 5 minutes and just import the songs that need to be imported and add the colors and stuff, because it is an extension of lighting as well. If it's not imported from the composition, like if you go in and copy and paste the 2-minute countdown or doors look and it doesn't have anything there, just leave it. Don't add anything to it. Just to kind of help keep consistency across all campuses. So some are not doing it and some are, kind of thing. That's where I would probably recommend just add some lighting on the stage, like maybe add some color or something along with the branding, and let that be your doors look. And on top of that, kind of more into the lighting side, but doors should only be one look, either house lights off or on, depending on the campus pastor request, but no craziness with it. It should just have countdown, and as soon as it hits 0, then lights should go into it. So we don't want pixel bars and lights going crazy during countdown. It should just all be one set going into, and as soon as it hits 0, everything else can go and look pretty. Make sense? Yeah, so like welcome, close. If there's nothing there, you can add something there. There should be something there. Sermon looks, of course, you would just import that onto your pixel bars so that the sermon look has that as well. That's automatically not going to be there just because no one has not decided till 8:10 in the morning or something like that. And so sometimes even later. Yeah. And normally people aren't, during the countdown, are normally walking in the last 10 to 30 seconds anyway, most of the time. And so when you have content and stuff like that, it's not really seeing more people are trying to find their seat more than anything during that time. So it just allows that ramp up into the experience and allows when it hits 0, the actual experience can start and flow back. That is your big open moment kind of thing. So cool. So right before we take a little break, or however Tanner wants to transition into this, I'm going to go over tickets real fast just so everybody can understand tickets and also how Fresh Service works when it comes to questions like this. Excuse my Cusis. My Cusis stuff. So, Fresh Service. It said if you're staff, of course, you'll see it on the staff page. If you're a volunteer, it's just support.elevationchurch.org. You can come here, put IT ticket in, production ticket. You probably already know how to submit these, type it in. But when you come here, you can type in Resolume. Oh, no. Oh, I spelled it wrong. That's why. It comes up with a bunch of questions, and you can get picky of like Resolume Pixel, if I can spell, Pixel, and it'll show how to connect pixel bars. And it'll talk about how to connect all this stuff together. how to output, all that stuff. So feel free to please use this resource, and it even goes over like um, the output of overlapping and things like that, or if there's overlapping outputs and things. Troubleshooting pixel bars that are not receiving signal from Resolume, making sure that it has input source and target IP. Everything we've already gone over is all in here. And if it's not, just ask us, and we will be able to help you with any direction you need. So, any questions with that? Cool. You guys probably do it. Yeah, it's a Sunday. Yes, please. If it's during the week, free time, use this resource. But now I will say though on that, if you are experiencing an issue and you have spent hours and you are continuing looking through this, you are more than welcome to submit a ticket while researching this. It's better to submit a ticket than not, and not us not know about it and know that that's a frequent issue. Because we would love to know if there's a frequent issue consistently happening. So it's better for you to submit a ticket than not, and us not know about it. So.